Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you had a great time over Christmas and New Year, had some time with family and friends, got out and shoot. It's a quiet Saturday morning here in Hong Kong. I got back just before New Year's after spending Christmas in Australia with my family. And I'm going through the process of analyzing 2024, seeing what was working, what wasn't, what I enjoyed, what I didn't, what I can do better, and setting my goals for 2025 and kind of planning. And I thought because a portion of that I just got a little feedback there, sorry. And because a portion of that is to do with YouTube, I thought it would be great to get your guys' feedback on my plans for next year and what I did this year and what I could be doing better. Before I dive into it, if anyone in the room can let me know, are you hearing me okay? Is everything streaming smoothly? I haven't gone live for like over 6 months, so I'm not 100% sure that I have everything set up right. I'm pretty sure that I do, but it would be great to get a message in the chat to let me know before I really dive in. For those who are joining, I plan to basically go through, I've written out some notes based on the review I'm genuinely doing offline, and I was just going to go through all of that and then come back and answer any questions that you guys might have. So if you have any questions for Q&A, then please send them through in the chat and I will get to them shortly. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just not going to have that window up as I go through all of this. But I am going to show you images from the year and some different things that I've got going on. Great to see the room is filling up. Thank you for the comments. Sean, Kevin, CRT, Marcialano, Ian, great to see you all. Thank you for joining. Please send your feedback and questions. I won't be interacting with it immediately. I'll be showing pictures and talking through my plan. But I will circle back to that, and I do want this to be a two-way conversation or a group conversation. So I've been doing this more and more strategically over the years, and everyone talks about it, but it's just one of those things that I find for me it's really worthwhile going through and doing a recap, and at the end of the year is as good of a time as any. I do them after different projects as well. But, this is a time of year I tend to have a little bit of time off to stop and really look back, look through my archives, look through my calendar and see what kept me busy during the year and what I want to be doing in 2025. I kind of take the approach at my age now, I'm turning 45 this month, that if this were my last year, I want to be doing it, using my time in a way that I find enjoyable and productive and fun and I wouldn't regret, but also that's setting me up for the next 20 years and getting ready for retirement and all of that kind of thing. So a little recap on 2024. It looks like over the year we put out 88 YouTube videos, which living in Hong Kong, that's a nice lucky number, 88. I launched Patreon Uncut and that's doing great. I'm not sure if I should run through all of the dot points and then give the detail circle back or just do it all at once. Probably better to do it all at once. So Patreon Uncut basically brings you along on my different photo shoots, whether they're with models and sensual shoots or YouTube shoots or doing landscape photography or city photography. And basically it's the full uncut thing. So I hope that the fun we have on my shoots comes through anyway. But you still see, basically, we roll the cameras, we get the last thing set up, then I get focused on what I need to talk about, and then, hey guys, today we're going to take a look at these 50mm lenses. And then we edit out most of the bloopers and that kind of stuff, and on YouTube you see the final product. Well, this is essentially an uncut clip. So we have like an action camera in the room. So you see all of that setup and preparation and how we're interacting with everyone on the set in a more complete way. So it's going great. We have over 700 members, mostly free. And of course, there's a few different tiers of paid membership as well. You can see the details for that one below if you're interested. Other things for 2024, I started the new Essentials series. Now, I really love this series. I haven't found any company who I feel comfortable to partner with on it, but I think it's a great series that could benefit from having a bit of a budget to up the production quality. I've got a link to that below as well. Pretty much everything I'm talking about, there's links in the description, so I'll stop saying that. But it's going and talking to a great photographer and having them talk about what are their essential items for the work they do. So for, say, I interviewed Matthew Bitton, who's a photographer for Dave Chappelle and a bunch of musicians. So for him, what is important for his work is, of course, his camera equipment, but then it's his photo books and the different things that he travels with, because he's traveling so often. And I spoke to other photographers, and it's a lot to do. So Ira Bock, who's a Nat Geo photographer, a lot of what's most important to him is actually all of the things he needs for travel, like jackets and hydration and all of that kind of thing. And the gear, whilst important, is less essential. So it's not trying to give you gear acquisition syndrome. It's kind of really showing you what goes into these great photographers' work. I'd love to do more of them, and I'd love to get more suggestions of the photographers you'd like to see on the series as well. I also kicked off 10-minute budgetography challenges. We've done 2 now, one with Alyssa and one with Cara, where I'm using the D700 camera, and we have 10 minutes to get as many great shots as we can. They were 2 really fun shoots for me in the last part of this year. It was chaos, but so much fun, and I'd love to do more of them. So let me know if you guys enjoyed them as well. I'll do 2 more points, and I'll just check in on the comments that we have going on. I started back doing tours in May last year, 2024. With Iceland. So we were going for the bird migration. I'm going to talk a bit about that later, but it was fantastic, and thank you to the guests I had. I think it was the most chill, most fun, most easy to get along with group that I've ever had, and my groups are always that anyway. So maybe I just missed it actually, but all of you, if any of you are watching, thank you for making the trip so great. I released several new courses through the year, culminating in the Naughty and Nice course with Steph that we released right at the end of the year. It marks 4 years of me living in Hong Kong. I can't believe time has gone by that quickly. I was in New York for 4 years, and now I've been in Hong Kong for 4 years. And because of, the way it timed out, that means it's coming up on 4 years since I quit drinking alcohol. I quit about 3 months after moving to Hong Kong, so in whatever it is, March or so, it will be my 4-year anniversary of that, and I can't believe it's gone that quickly. We also started working with Alyssa on the channel, and she's fantastic. She's really busy, so we don't get to work with her often, but she is lovely, and I know that you guys have really enjoyed her too. So that's a little recap of the public-facing stuff I've been doing in 2024. I'm going to go through next and talk about my most enjoyable shoots from the year, share some pictures with you, the challenges and kind of risks that I see for myself, what I've been doing to improve my productivity, and my planning for 2025. So before we get into that, let me just check the comments here. Feedback on the video, thank you all. Peter, welcome. You didn't miss too much yet. I was just recapping what's been going on and kind of saying Happy New Year to everyone. Nick. No, I don't own all the videos, the watches that I showed in that video, but I am a watch lover. So let's jump in and take a look at my most enjoyable shoots from the year. So let me just switch views here. I've got a lot of windows going on right now. Hopefully you're seeing a cute Santa up on screen right now. As I went back through my catalog and looked at the images, these I would say are my most enjoyable shoots. They're not necessarily that they had the most successful images or what I think are the best images, but what I found really, really enjoyable. And seeing she's on screen, Kara, I first shot with her, I can't remember, years ago in Bangkok, and then I shot with her for 1 week in Bangkok, which both of these shots are from. And then we shot again recently in Hong Kong, so got to shoot with her, I think, 3 times this year, which is a treat. Another really fun one was shooting the desert course and using smoke bombs with Steph out in the Nevada desert. That was really cool. I can't show too much of the rest of the desert shoot because it's not suitable for YouTube, but here's one of the smoke shots nonetheless. Also, one that I can't share here is when was it? November, I think, shot my first underwater shoot with Steph. And that's going to be a course that's coming up later. And that was so challenging, but really fun. I love the images that we created there. Towards the end of December, one of the last shoots of the year, I was shooting with Clara as opposed to Kara. And that was a really, really enjoyable one as well. She's a great model and a wonderful woman. And we got some really cool slow shutter shots of her doing some twisting motions that with a crop are suitable for YouTube. So here's an example of that one. And I would say on my travels, one of my favorite shoots and one of my favorite animal photography moments ever was we were traveling for the bird migration in May this year. I took my tour group and we were going to shoot puffins. And if you've ever been to Iceland, the weather is, let's just say, unpredictable. That's basically the best time of year for weather, but it still can be anything. We had the most amazing weather. I actually went and bought ponchos and camera covers for all my guests as a little welcome bonus. And then we barely got rained on at all the entire trip for 12 or 14 days, which is just unheard of. But we arrived at our puffin location and unseasonably, it just started snowing and snowing heavily. So there was hundreds of puffins and then they were flying in the snow and nesting and it was just amazing. And fortunately, because we always build in some buffers for the trip, we were able to adjust things so that we went back to that location the following morning. And the following morning, the snow had actually accumulated, so we got to shoot the puffins in direct sunlight, but with the area all covered in snow, which my tour guide, who's seen everything and been a film production scout for dozens of Hollywood movies and TV shows, and who's been to everywhere in Iceland and Greenland and Faroe Islands and he had never seen this in this part of the country. So it was a really special moment to be able to see these beautiful birds in the snow like this, which is not, they're seabirds. It's not what they're built for, really. And then the last of my favorite shoots for the year, and I know this is a bit sentimental and may seem hokey, but it's the truth. I'm not sharing these ones though, but it was actually taking family portraits over Christmas. It was actually my wife's idea. She bought a bunch of Christmas hats and stuff, and then I got photos of the different groups, and at Christmas Day lunch and Boxing Day lunch, we had different people coming to my parents' house, so we got a bunch of different portraits. And then out of my dad's farm, which has just been sold, we got of the 4 of us as well. So it was as simple as camera lens, choosing a nice location, using the self timer, getting the atmosphere happy, and then getting a series of shots. But definitely there'll be some of the shots that get looked back on in future, probably as much as any of these ones. So that was really, really a nice way to round out the year. Let me just check in with the comments here. Okay, question about vintage lenses. I'll come back to that one. Thank you, Sergeant Modog. Adventure Acric, I will get to your comment as well. Marcialano, thank you. Glad you like the post-apocalyptic course. And Sean, likewise. So that's the images that I wanted to share. Maybe let's jump in now. And I'm not going through all of them because when I do a review at the end of the year for myself and my business, I actually go through and really identify risks and opportunities that are they're private. They're not for YouTube, but I'll go through some challenges that I had in 2024. One would be, and I'm not doing this to shame or complain, but it's just a reality. I still have no joy with Sony or Canon. I've been in Hong Kong 4 years. I've been actively searching out contacts. I've gone to Sony USA, who I had a good relationship with, and requested to be put in touch with people here. And what can I say? There's zero interest. There's zero emails even returned from Canon and Sony. And I appreciate that comes down to, it could just be that the one person who's responsible for this kind of thing is too busy or doesn't see value in working with English-speaking YouTubers. So whilst I think it would be polite to at least say no thank you rather than just ignoring my request, there's no hard feelings, and I would really love to be able to present more Sony and Canon stuff without having to ridiculously have it sent from America to here for me to test out when it's made right around here. It seems kind of insane. Other challenges, still a lot of my work involves travel and going to places like America and Europe. It's still challenging from Hong Kong. There are direct flights, but they're long, man. We're talking 12 and 15-hour direct flights. I fly economy, so it's a long time up the back of the plane as a reasonable sized guy. Although, having said that, it's still definitely a lot easier than being based in Australia, where you can add an extra 8 or 9 hours and need a layover on those kind of flights, and you're talking almost 24 hours of flying. Other challenges, my current videographer is working out really well, but we're still finding our rhythm because I literally traveled every month of 2024. So we never had more than a couple of weeks unbroken time together to really get into a rhythm. So I'd say we're still not optimized yet on how we work whilst I'm away. That's something that we need to work on. And the last one that's been a challenge this year, unfortunately, Clumsy Matt has returned. I know I have a reputation, I earned a reputation from the early days of YouTube of dropping and breaking stuff. But it had been really good, and I had been really good, and I hadn't been doing it for years. I mean, the occasional GoPro or something I might lose or break, but it was like one GoPro a year or something. And I know that sounds like I'm being frivolous about it, but I'm shooting several times a week with 10 cameras, no, not 10, maybe 6 cameras. Just statistically, the odds are there, right? But this year, in Iceland, my Z9 on the 400mm lens toppled over inside the bus, actually, and broke the camera body. I did break an action camera this year, and then in Australia, I damaged my Z8 and a lens and lost a drone. And I want to be really clear, whilst, for example, I loved Digital Rev, the channel, I always found it quite ridiculous intentionally breaking gear for laughs, and that's not what I do. What I have and what I've saved and accumulated over the years is mainly because I don't waste money. So I buy my cameras and lenses like you guys. When I break them, either insurance or I pay for those repairs, and then I get higher insurance premiums if insurance does pay for it. So I don't find it funny. I don't do it intentionally. And I need to get back on top of that because, you think how hard it is or how much work goes into earning $5,000. But if you smash a Z9, that work has just gone out the window because you just flushed that amount of money down the toilet. So I need to work on that. In terms of productivity, I would say there are four things, and they're all quite different, that have really helped with my productivity over 2024. One has been really changing my mindset of busyness. I've realized that I had I won't get into the why I think I was that way, but I got into the mindset, I realized, God, can I speak? Let's try that again. In 2024, I realized that not only am I busy all the time, but that at some level deep in myself, I saw being busy as a virtue. It's a good thing. You should be busy. You should be doing things all the time. You shouldn't be slacking off. And I want to break that in myself, essentially, because it means you can't fully enjoy when you're having time off or trying to have a holiday. And beyond that, there's a big difference between being busy and being productive. So being busy all the time means you could be half-assing it and doing 50% work, 50% screwing around or scrolling Instagram. Whereas being productive, what's more impressive? Somebody who's always grinding, working 20 hours a day, doesn't take a day off, working hard, always busy, hard to approach because they're always busy, or someone who's getting it done but has their shit together and doesn't seem stressed all the time and has systems and things in process that help them get things done whilst being able to have a nice lifestyle. The latter is what I'm going for. So essentially, doing less but being more prepared and doing it well has been really great for me. Instead of trying to cram 3 different photo shoots into a day when I'm traveling, paring it back, doing fewer shoots, doing less things, but really going in prepared and just knocking them out of the park has been a big change. This is something completely different, but in 2024, we pretty much moved that, except for slow motion, we're filming everything in 8K, and it has been really helpful partly for the busy thing, because my videographer last year wasn't able to travel much because he had family commitments, which we'll have to see. Maybe he will be able to travel this year. But when I'm filming a course, say Naughty and Nice with Steph, if I were just doing that shoot and building rapport with a new model and shooting and there's no audience, no nothing, I can do it standing on my head. It's so easy. Couple of lights, the camera, couple of lenses, boom, done. But when you mix in 3 or 4 camera angles and making sure that they're all framed and exposed right, plus my photos, it kind of 4 or 5 X's the work. Plus you need to then make sure the audio is good and then be moving that amount of equipment as well. So having framing right without a videographer so that I have high quality shots for my courses, but also I'm not blocking the shots when I walk around and then there is no usable shot. It's been really helpful to film it all in 8K, frame wider, and then be able to crop in significantly and still get a full resolution 4K frame out of it. It essentially means by having a Z9 and a Z9 filming, say, the model and me, for example, and then action cameras getting wider shots of the whole scene, we're able to cover everything and get high quality shots. That it's still not as good, in my opinion, as having a videographer with a gimbal actually moving with you, but it means that all the action that we need to tell the story is well covered. So that's been really, really good for me. Another one, and this one just came in under the wire. I picked this up in Australia just around Christmas. But what I'm currently streaming with is a MacBook Pro, but it's the first generation of M processors. And I got to say, honestly, it's so good. I wasn't sure if I wanted to upgrade, but I finally upgraded to the M4 Max MacBook Pro. And oh my God, it's so much faster, like 2 to 3 times faster, which when you're doing, say, compressing videos, and for a course I might have dozens of videos to compress, to be able to do them at the high quality setting really slows things down. And compressing one video, I did a time the other day, compressing and converting it from 8K to 1080 and different settings just to compare. And it took it from being like an hour 20 on the old one to being about 34 minutes on the new one. So that's a significant time savings. So that's been great. And the last one, and you would have seen me share this, but I'll show it to you, has been Reblum. So the way that I edit my stills now has changed so much over the past few years. Getting in talking about AI is something that I think a lot of photographers are interested in, so we can go into that in more detail in a future video. But I'm not amazing at retouching, and I don't enjoy individually retouching images, if I'm perfectly honest. But this software does a better job than I can, and way faster. It's just win, 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 win. If you take a look at this shot of Steph, I mean, she's got great complexion anyway, but on the right, you can see you can choose natural or fashion. So natural's a simpler look, fashion is more glossy look. And then you've got fine tuning, so the general amount or the texture, and then do you want to do it basically between best quality and fastest, and then how you want to export it. So at the moment, this is just on natural. So if I hold down this eye clicker, that's the before. So you can see the around the mouth and around the eyes. She's a busy person too, never getting enough sleep. So you can see, if nothing else, it's a really subtle way to remove the dark eye bags. And then if we go in closer, it looked like under this eye, it was getting some blemishes and stuff out as well. Yeah. And then if you go to fashion, as I say, I have this on high quality, so it takes a little second to do the processing. But let's go back to that zoom. You can see the amount it's doing there, and it really does make a difference. Show you a couple of other examples with this handsome rogue. So interesting on this one, it's such a shallow depth of field, you basically have my nose in focus. Fun fact, Tina Yong took this photo for me like 10 years ago. So yes, I know I don't look like that anymore. But again, that's the after and then the before. So you can see it's softened out the wrinkles on my forehead. This is the fashion version, and gotten rid of lots of dots. If we go to the natural version, it doesn't do so much with the dots or the wrinkles, but it still softens it out. Now there's two more that I want to show you here. Let's go on natural. So this was a model that I shot with in Vegas, and no disrespect, but when it can be really challenging shooting with models that have, maybe had suffered from acne or that kind of thing in the past, even through heavy makeup, it really shows up. So take a look at this. This is the after. And, it's not a spectacular photograph. It's just what it is. And I cropped it for YouTube so that it's safe. But if we go in and take a look here, you can see there's some, it's not flawless skin. It's not the kind of texture that Steph has. But have a look at the before on this one. It's remarkable, and it just does it that quickly. And if you want to go further and go to the fashion look, and the before. And so whilst I load up this sumo wrestler, the reason that I love this software, you can do it as, I know this sounds like an ad, but just for me, it has seriously been a huge thing this year. You can do it as a plugin for Lightroom, Photoshop, or Capture One. But how I tend to use it, which just fits my workflow, if I end up putting out 5, 10, or for a course, maybe 100 images from a shoot, I'll go through to levels, cropping, that kind of thing, do no specific editing, then export all of those JPEGs to my desktop, for example, then I drop them on here, and then I take a look at this and I think, how much editing do I want on the shot? So taking a look at this one, this is on fashion. When I take it off, you can see it's done a lot. So I can actually move these sliders and say, if I move these all the way down, it takes it back to 0 essentially. And that's probably scarily close. And then as we slide it up, you see the edit starting to be applied and off. So you basically do that and then hit save, and then it just batch processes all of them at those settings and saves them to a new location, and you can just go off and do other work. It doesn't need an internet connection. It's not charged per image. It's like my one, you can see it just says subscription active. I bought the lifetime one, which means I get all of the updates when they release new models and stuff, and there's just no limit to it. So later this month when I'm traveling in Africa, I can do as many shots as I want, and I don't need an internet connection to do any of it. So for me, that would be the fourth most important, number 4 of the productivity things for this year. What else do I have on my list? Well, what I'm going to do for this year, but let me just check in at the chat and see how we're going. Okay, so great. So Nick just asked what his attention was diverted, what software are we looking at? That was Reblum, and there's a link for that in the description. They offer a free trial, I think it's a week, and you can do as many images as you want. It doesn't watermark them or anything, so you can just see if it works for you. Now, 2025. So first of all, one of the things I need to do based on my challenges or risks is look for better gear insurance. I'm not sure that what I have is best for me and the way that I'm traveling, especially if my run of breaking things continues. I'm looking to work on the timing of my trips. Like I said, I traveled every month last year, and I'm just not sure, but I wonder if instead of, say, traveling 10 days a month, would it be better to travel for 20 or 30 days as a block and then not travel for 2 or 3 months? So then I have more time here. That's a simplistic way of looking at it, but if it worked out, I wonder if maybe a mix, doing 2 longer trips and then having big blocks at home, and then 6 months where I'm still traveling each month. I just need to build out my calendar essentially. In 2025, I'm going to be doing 2 tours to Iceland, one for the bird migration and one for the annual horse muster. I think I'm the only one who runs that tour because I organized it bespoke. And Bhutan is going to be in September to the Far East, again to a festival that I don't think anyone else in the world offers tours to, that I got special access to after going to Bhutan so many times. And I have a sponsor child there as well, unrelated to getting special access, but he does live in that general area. So I would love to see you guys on any of those. You can see details on, there's links for that stuff below in EOIs, as well as I'm going to be doing more workshops around the world. So if you're somewhere and you'd be interested to join a workshop or a photo walk or a meetup or something, then please fill out the EOI so I know where the interest is. And I am planning to set up a tour for 2026. I'm actually going at the end of this month back to Central Eastern Africa, and going for safari, and also going to visit the great apes, the silverbacks. I've mentioned it before, but I'm not actually going to mention exactly which countries I'm going to now, because last time I did, I got a flood of emails and messages from tourism people in those countries, and just people asking for, do you have free stuff that you can bring us when you visit to our country? Yeah, very, what's the word? Ambitious and kind of right on the ball with the promotions. So I'm actually getting ready for those trips right now. I don't know if I have it here, but I have like my medicines and my visas and everything, and I'm kind of getting ready to do packing so that I'm not running out of time on that one. I'm also going to be doing new 1 week in courses. So you probably saw I did 1 week in Bangkok in the past, and then recently did 1 week in LA for my art portraiture school. So I have at least 3 more of those coming, and I just finished filming 1 week in Sydney, which will come online sometime in the next 6 months. I'm not sure just yet. So that's where I'm up to. One thing I would say, I haven't been doing live shows on YouTube anymore, and I'm not sure about it. It's a big time commitment, and we always basically got the same 10 or 12 people entering, which may be the same 10 or 12 people we have in the chat today. But I am planning to, from time to time, do an open image review rather than a competition for my Patreon members. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about going forward, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What content over the last few years have you enjoyed most? Is there anything that I was doing that I've stopped that you'd like to see more of? Please, I'm not doing this for lip service or to get analytics bump by getting comments. I really do want your feedback, so please let me know below. And now I will jump into the questions that you guys have sent in and go through those. So, Peter, Sergeant McDog, USMC. What are your top 3 favorite vintage lenses? It's a great question. Oh, somebody just sent I don't know what you call it. Sent money. I don't know what that's called. A super chat or something. From Cam Mackey, I appreciate your consistency and always have the answers I'm looking for. Thanks, Cam. That's really kind. I don't do these live shows to try and get donations, but that's really kind of you. Cheers. Sergeant, my top 3 favorite vintage lenses. Yeah, I don't know what you would consider vintage, how old they have to be vintage, really. But I really like the 105 f2.5 nickel P lens. I often shoot with, well, not enough. No, it's not even vintage. It's just manual. But so that I'll even skip that one. And I'm currently selling a bunch of stuff online, and that lens is one of them anyway. That's a Leica lens. I don't know if it counts as vintage, is 10 or 20 years vintage, but my 200 f2 is still one of my absolute go-tos. I have a couple of other M-mount lenses that I really love, and I've got the Helios 44. I've got one particular example that I really like. But I'd say of the ones that I regularly use, it'd be the 105 f2.5 nickel P. Adventure Acric, I hope you enjoyed your time in the States. Come out to the Colorado mountains next time. Keep up the great work. I would love to. One of the things I really loved, and that on my personal list of things from 2024, was that every time I went exploring or hiking or whatever in nature, in Australia we just call it a bushwalk. I think the rest of the world calls it a hike. I loved it, and it was so relaxing, for one of a prettier term. Yeah, so I hear Colorado's gorgeous. Adventure also saying would love to see what I think about going to Burning Man. Look, I would love to go to Burning Man. I think the main thing is basically you need to have a community to go with, right? You need to have a van and food and supplies, and then be part of a group who has a space there. And I'm just not plugged in with people who have all of that. But yeah, I would love to go do that sometime. Gagrina, hello from the Russia community. Hello, and thank you. Okay, so thank you for all of the comments, guys. There's lots there, just kind of giving feedback on what I was saying. I think mostly about my personal try not to be busy all the time commitment. So thank you. Nick Kushinov, I was going to ask you about the live reviews, but are you less excited about YouTube as a revenue stream? A lot of YouTubers seem to have quit or ratcheted back. More time investment than it's worth. Look, it's a fair question. I would say I'm not a big enough YouTube channel and I don't take so many sponsorships and stuff where it's ever been a big income stream for me, to be perfectly honest. I would say for the past 6 or 8 years, the revenue has just gone down, but my cost of making it probably has gone up as I'm getting busier and busier. I'm relying on my videographer to do more of the editing, right? So I would say I spend more to make the YouTube videos than definitely than the YouTube revenue itself brings. If we have like a sponsor for a video or something, then that covers itself. But the actual YouTube income itself is so insignificant. But I do value the audience that I have here. And then when I run tours or I make courses, that's one of the primary ways that I'm able to communicate about that and have a group of photographers who it might be a good fit for. So for me, YouTube is still worth it. Leo, and I would just say from the outset, I see this is a question about insurance, so I am not going to give specific advice because the last thing I want is to say I use this insurer and then you go with them and then they screw you. I wouldn't trust insurance cover, as far as I could throw them. So I'm not going to give a specific answer, but I'm not a professional, but I have a lot of money in gear. In your experience, is insurance worth it? For example, the insurance cost for a year versus the repair of a Z9 or a Z8. So there's a couple of ways to look at it, and that is you can get insurance that just covers you all the time for around where you live, or you can get insurance that covers you all year for including all around the world. So if you're going on trips, or if your main photography is based around trips, you can just insure your trip, and then that usually gives you some cover. But just be careful, you're talking about Z8 or Z9. They usually have a per item maximum, which on a general insurance policy can be really low. And I'm sorry to say, it really depends on the cost of the repair, and that's so hard to say. Let me give you an example. I recently, as I said, I dropped my Z8. It was kind of my fault, kind of the strap connection failed on me. Either it failed or it was damaged. I didn't know it was damaged and I didn't check that it was locked down properly. But in any case, my Z8 and my 24-70 fell to the rocks. The Z8, the body had a visible crack in it. The mount was warped. It couldn't autofocus and the stabilization wasn't working anymore. The lens seemed fine. I kept using it. It was ever so slightly sticky on the zoom range, however. I took it all into Nikon Hong Kong and got a quote on it. And the quote to repair the lens is more expensive than the one to repair the camera body. Don't ask me why. And the cost for either of them to be fixed is definitely more than an annual insurance policy would have been to cover those pieces of equipment. Yeah, all insurance is one of those things of it's priced in a way that it's worth it for clumsy people, but not for careful people or lucky people. Yeah, I hope that's helpful, Leo. All right, I don't see any other questions. We're coming up on 45 minutes of live stream. So if you have any last questions, send them in now. Otherwise, I will round this out. Live streams that just ramble on and die off for 20 minutes slowly are never much fun. I'll just say I did put in the video description all the details of the different things that I've been talking about here. My Essential series, the 10-minute challenge, future workshops, Bhutan and Iceland tours, the free trial of Reblum, the editing software, my Naughty and Nice course, and the Patreon Uncut, which I have to say is going so well. Maybe my favorite new thing that I'm doing is Patreon, to be able to share with you guys I try to make my courses as real and fly on the wall as possible so you really feel like you're there. But there's nothing more real than seeing us rushing to set up and pack and the chat before we start rolling and that kind of thing. The feedback has been great, and it also lets me share more stuff with less restrictions because I'm able, whether it does include adult content or not, it's all fine on Patreon. So it's been really, really good. Thank you to all of you. I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate you taking the time. I would just like to repeat for anyone who's watching live, or if you're watching this in the future, I do read the comments. So please do send more feedback on what you would like to see on future videos, what maybe I've been making in the past that you don't enjoy, things that you do enjoy, things that maybe I've stopped that you'd like to see more of, because I'm making this for you guys, not for myself. So I want it to be what you guys want to see. So please do let me know. I think I'm going to round it out there. Thank you, Marcialano, Sean, Adventure, Leo, Cam. Thank you for the generous tip, Cam. That's really kind of you. Fel, everyone else. I can't read out all the names, but thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great new year. And if you're hankering for some travel, then please do check out the tours that I have coming up this year. I just love doing them. So both the ones I have coming up, I think, would be a lot of fun. They offer a good mix of wildlife and people and comfort, and they should be really fun. Leo, I'm currently interested in more lighting. Thank you. Leave me more. Of course, over at my websites, I have lighting courses too. And last one, Nick, did you do a wrist check? No, I don't get into doing that kind of thing because I don't think most of the audience here cares about watches, but seeing you asked, I'm wearing, and let's see if you actually, will it get my face here, my watch here? I don't think it will. There we go. This is a Octo Finissimo, and this is a JDM version that's from some Japanese artist. I got it when I was over in Nagoya. So there you go. Thanks for asking. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. Thank you. Hope you have a great start to the year. Hope to meet some of you in person this year, and would love your feedback on all the questions I raised in this video. Cheers, and have a great weekend.